This episode of the podcast is brought to you by our partner, Audible.
Yes, it is. So we are partnered with Audible. That means that if you are looking just to check it out, you don't want to put your card in and just take the dive. You can get 30 days for free on us. If you go to audibletrial.com/JATG or click the link down below, you'll be taken there. You can sign up for 30 days for free and just test it out. Like there's a lot of stuff on there that you can get for free, a lot of Audible exclusives. But what I really like about Audible is that out of the hundreds and thousands of audiobooks that they have, if you decide to purchase something, that is yours forever. Like if you decide not to carry on your subscription or you want to take a break or whatever it is, you can always go back and listen to that book whenever you want through the app on the internet. Doesn't matter because it's yours. So once again, you can get that for 30 days for free on us if you go to audibletrial.com/JATG.
If the internet gods have blessed us once again, we are live. Johnny and the Greg. I know behind me it looks like I got more of a religious thing going on versus a Christmas
The
thing.
Church of Johnny.
Yeah, pretty much. Which was funny because we started the conversation with that, and I'd say we start with something light right now because there's a reason I'm wearing this hat, and it's not because I'm a fan. Greg and I, in case you guys are new to this, Greg and I have a yearly bet that if the Green Bay Packers win, I have to wear a hat for the podcast and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So far in the entire length of our podcast, Greg has never had to wear the hat. I think he wore it one time, but he's never had to wear it.
I did wear it once because the Bears had a great game, and out of respect, I wore it. And you got mad at me. You're like, you don't touch that hat unless they beat. And I was like, okay, fine. I'll never wear it again.
Which might look like that'll happen. Yeah, it was. I'll just go over this very quickly. I did not expect to win. It does not surprise me that we lost. But it is now 8 in a row. I think the Packers have won. And with this win today, it's a significant win because the Packers, congratulations, you are the all-time winningest team in NFL history. You have the most wins in NFL history. So we're one behind. Congratulations, Green Bay. It took you 102 years to get it. Congratulations. Just had to put that in there. For those of you that do not know, that's a backhanded compliment.
Yep.
Anywho, that's all I got because you guys clearly know what you're doing up there still. Anyway. That's all I got. You guys clearly know. I hear you. I mean, I hear myself on there. Is that?
Yeah, I'm having an issue here.
Oh, okay.
Trying to.
All right.
There we go.
So what we started talking about is my background. I noticed as I'm looking through the camera here, it looks like I have a very religious thing going back here, like almost like a halo.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, I think that's because I don't have colored lights, and that transitioned into we don't do colored lights here at the house.
You're a light racist.
Maybe. Or maybe this is going to sound so bad, especially what we're going to eventually transition to, but maybe. I just feel like this sounds bad. I just feel like it looks better on trees. I just feel like the clear lights look better on trees. And what's funny is we have a Christmas tree that has, like, you have all white lights, then you hit a button and it goes to color lights, and then it goes into switching back and forth and dimming and all these different color combinations. And so Ursula is very particular about how her tree lights look. And Gwen loves to run down and click it to rainbows and stuff like that, and that's it.
Absolutely. That is the correct. You know what? I don't care.
I mean,
I'm really not. And because when we started talking about this, and I was like, you know what, we should just stop talking about this because this is a decent podcast topic. Because of what I was going to say is I'm not against the white lights on my tree. I got the same kind of tree where I can click it and it goes between. I can have white, I can have flashing white, I can have colored, I can have flashing colored, I can have alternating white and flashing to color, and all those different things. My tree is like the ornaments that I have on it, and I'm looking at it right now, is like my tree topper is the sorting hat from Harry Potter.
Oh, it's not the Death Star?
Nope. I put the Death Star. You can't see it, but I put it over here
can't.
because it doesn't sit in my tree very well. Like, and I get a little nervous by it because it's like they've actually re-released a new Death Star. Hallmark released a different one and fixed some of the design flaws, but I'm not gonna drop the money to get another one. So it sits well on the desk. Anyway, so like amongst my tree, I have like nerd ornaments. I've got Star Wars, I got Star Trek, I got a bunch of superhero stuff. I've got a bunch from my childhood. So I'm looking at one right now of my picture that is in, I think, 3rd grade, and then my grandma kind of knitted an ornament and hot glued my class picture in there. And it's just full of like different.
Do you have all the ornaments that eventually your kids make a macaroni ornament or something like that?
There are some stuff that my kids have made on there. There's not a bunch. Out of those ones that are kind of more homemade are my mom handed me a box at some point and said, these are all the ornaments from that you got over the years. Because every year my grandma gave me an ornament from the time I was born to the time I was, I think, 21. I got an ornament every year. And then when I was a teacher, like a lot of students give you ornaments and things like that.
Right.
And so it's just a multicolored,
it's a melting pot.
It is. It really is. And to the point where I'm like, if I turn just the white lights on, it almost seems like it doesn't fit.
Okay.
Like,
that makes sense. And some people decorate their tree with the idea of colored lights being there. So it makes sense.
So we had moms on, and mom said colored lights are more traditional. Well, traditionally the tree is actually it's not a Christian thing, it's a pagan thing that the Christians then adopted in order.
Take that, Mom.
It was candles that you'd put on the tree.
Candles.
So they were, so really kind of the white light is more traditional than the multicolored light.
Look who's more traditional.
Yeah, go ahead. So, but we had this conversation actually this year with my family and my daughter can't talk tonight. She got real excited and overruled it when I said, hey guys, do you want to buy, like, because they come in like the big tubes, you see them at like Marshall's or whatever, or wherever you buy your Christmas ornaments from.
What? Oh, ornaments?
It's like, here's a kit. Here is, you have a 7-foot tree or a 7-foot. Here is the ornaments, the bulbs, the ribbon, the everything to do your whole tree in like a theme. Do you want it to be red? Here's all the shades of red.
I see.
Right?
Okay.
Do you want it to be?
She overruled the entire house.
Well, she overruled because she was like, "This is my." She's really big into this because she's going to be in college next year. Like, this is my last Christmas home. I'm like,
no, it's not.
I know. We're like, where are you going?
You're not going to war.
Yeah. So she's like, why would we undo like this thing we've been doing for 18 years? And I'm like, okay, fine. I don't care. I am finding that a lot of my ornaments are getting old. Like,
yeah,
I have ornaments that I've had to like throw away because it was like a tetanus issue. I'm like, here's this cute little brass ornament, and I'm like, it is rusted through, like the little train is falling apart. I'm like, okay, yeah, we gotta or mold. I had an ornament that I remember I got from my 1st grade reading specialist.
Yeah,
like she had I don't know if she had sewed it together or whatever it was with this stuff there, and I pulled it out, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, and it was just covered in like white mold. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
sorry.
not good. Yeah.
Sorry, Miss something something whose name I can't
Yeah. That's
remember.
a
We need
funny
to.
thing, man. Some people get very attached to ornaments.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
they do.
It's
And for good reason. I mean, there's some
there's some
sentimentality to it.
sentimental things there. I think we have a box here that's strictly for my mother, and it never leaves that box. And it's not
Yeah.
like Ursula's always like, "Do you want to put that in the tree?" I'm like, you know what? Like, look, I may be coming across at this. I haven't met anybody that does a tree better than Ursula, my wife. I
Mhm.
haven't met anybody
It's a
like
good looking tree. Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned, and I'm doing a humble brag. I think it could be in a magazine of at some sort of like Crate and Barrel
Yep.
Christmas. She does an immaculate tree and it's beautiful and she takes a lot of time at it. And then we have one upstairs that is for the nerd tree. That's where I have my superheroes, and now Gwen's part of it. So Gwen
Where do
gets
you
to
put it upstairs?
so you know how we have that when we walk up. It's a skinny tree. So when we walk up, there's that kind of that empty space. So you walk up the stairs.
By the guest room or by
Yeah, there's like that
yeah.
little corridor where actually
Okay.
it's where the attic is supposed. It's the attic entrance.
Oh.
So there's this small little space there that we just plop a tree, and
Oh.
Gwen and I get
Okay.
to do whatever we want with it. So
Mm-hmm.
that's our compromise. Because
Sure.
actually, I don't want to touch her tree. Her trees are just those are the
Yeah.
type where you're like, damn, we got to take a picture of this.
They look good. I do have a friend who is it's a seasonal job for her, but
Yes, my aunt too.
she goes to various hospitals and
Mm,
decorates their tree. Like she's yeah, I mean it's they pay her, but she's like, oh, this one hospital group, they're like, you're our Christmas tree designer.
yeah.
And she'll like one big hospital. She's like, yeah, that hospital alone has like 72 trees. And
Wow.
she does all of them.
There was a time my aunt would blow everybody away. Every year she'd do a unique theme with the tree. I
That's
remember
cool.
vividly one time she had a train going all the way through it and all the way down and coming all the way
That's
up,
awesome.
back up.
Yep.
And then she had one that I thought was her best one. She put it upside down. So
Oh,
when you
sure.
walked in, you looked at it and it came down to a point,
Mhm.
and all the presents were kind of like glued onto the wall. I mean, onto the ceiling. So
Yeah.
it looked like you walked in and you were like upside down. So for a time she did that. Now after a while you run out of ideas, I guess, or you
Yeah.
just don't care anymore. But
It's a lot of work. I
yeah,
mean, that's the same thing for people that do those awesome light shows outside their house.
yeah,
Pure passion projects because it's not like people are getting paid for that.
especially the ones that sync up to music.
Oh yeah, they got to
Yeah,
sync to the music. They have an FM station dedicated to where you tune in outside of their house, so it feeds right
yes,
into your car.
yeah.
And they're great, but man, that is a ton of
It's a
work.
lot
I
of work,
mean,
and it's stressful. It gets
yeah,
stressful, right? Yeah,
yeah. So
my
I,
aunt now goes downtown Chicago for some
mhm.
high rises. She decorates trees for some people that she knows there. They pay her like $500 to decorate the
Yeah,
tree.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So she makes a little
it's
cash during
cool.
this time.
And I love the people that do that kind of work. Just like I mean, for any holiday, really. If you're bringing and like you talked about it last week, that magic. If you're bringing that level of
Yeah.
magic to somebody,
Yeah.
even if it's like your office space, I think that's cool. So
Yeah. So how are you guys with Christmas? Do you need white lights or do you need color lights, or how do you do your Christmas tree, and
yeah.
how attached are you to the way the Christmas tree needs to be done? Like, does it have to have a certain ornament that's been handed down through generations, or are you just okay with, I don't know,
What
any
and
ornament?
I was like my son, he's like, "Do we need a tree this year?" Like
Oh,
he's the kind of he's like, "It's just a lot of work. It's for a short amount of time."
sounds like the teenager there.
And I was like, "Well," and I mean, as long as they're here, yeah, I think. Well, and even when they're not, I think I'm gonna do a tree. I've contemplated like where it's at.
Yeah,
Like,
just leaving it
I
there.
just leave it there and decorate it for different stuff all year.
That would be one way. Remember
Mhm,
our friend Aaron Knief?
mhm.
He had somebody glue everything onto his tree. So then
Really?
he would just take it and walk it down into the basement, cover it with plastic, and when it was time to do it, he'd take off the
Like
plastic, march it up, put it there.
like as a grown man, they did that. He did that.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
He did, well, he was a bachelor. This is
Oh,
before
okay.
he got
Okay.
married. So
Okay.
I'm sure it's different now.
I mean,
But
like he's got kids. I'm like, he's never decorated a tree with
yeah,
his
he had
daughters.
somebody come over and glue the ornaments and the lights right where they were.
Wow.
So
And I thought I was cheaping out with a pre-lit tree.
there you go. There you go. Oh, how are you? How are you? And how is our listeners? Fake or real tree? Where do we go?
I have this decision made for me.
Okay.
In that, um, if there's a real tree in the house, like we have too many allergies and whatnot around
Oh,
here.
okay. Okay.
So that's we do. It's weird. We do a fake tree, and it's
With smells.
with pre-lit, and yeah, they sell these sticks
Yeah.
that you just
we
hang
got
on
them
there.
too. We got them too.
I remember here's another little story time, and Mom, don't start crying. It was the year had to be like 1990. It was like one of the first years my parents moved into a house that we actually fit into. So like my brother and I had our own room, like we could all be in the living room in the same time and not be sitting on each other. Like they got to a house that our size of family fit in. And Mom really wanted to get a real Christmas tree.
Okay.
And like they have this cool little alcove, like it's like that's where the tree goes. Like if you were to walk in to the house, you'd be like, that is where you put a Christmas tree.
Right.
So they had the perfect spot for it. But she wants to go get a real tree for the first time. And we're like, okay. So we do the thing, man. I was in 8th grade. And so we go out, we cut down a tree.
Oh, you cut it down.
We cut it down. Yeah. Like we cut this tree down. It was the first time I actually got behind the wheel of a vehicle. Mom let me drive down the road of the Christmas tree farm, just, probably 500 feet or whatever it was. And we drug this tree into the house. I was not aware of the trail of needles because this tree, I mean, it was pretty big.
Right.
So we get it in the house, we get it in the alcove, we set it up, decorate the whole thing, got the lights on, covered in sap. I mean, the whole deal, but it's up, it looks good. And then we go back in the living room. I fall asleep on the couch, and from where my mom was sitting, she had a direct line into the tree, and I didn't. And so all of a sudden, I just hear a ruckus would be the right word for it.
Okay.
And I go, what happened? And Mom's staring at the tree, like shock, horror.
Shut up. There's like a squirrel in there or something?
No. The tree fell over.
Oh, okay.
And landed on the dining room table.
Was it decorated?
Fully decorated.
Oh,
and I mean, there were some shattered ornaments if my memory serves, and like Mom's screaming for Dad then to come down, and Dad's like, "What? Like, what? Why are you yelling at me?"
Yeah.
And I remember looking at Mom, and I asked her what's going on. She's like, the tree fell over.
Oh,
I mean, just like
sad.
heartbroken. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
then
sad.
We get the tree upright. Dad goes and gets like high tension fishing line. And then we wrap it around the tree. And there were these like window hooks, or maybe Dad just put screws in the wall.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But we get this thing supported. And then I think they did a real tree for maybe a couple more years. Yeah. And then it was back to the fake tree.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always remembered like getting it out of the house after it died was always the hard time because of all the needles falling.
People do like burn parties. Like that's
I didn't know about that. Do they?
Yeah, you let that thing just sit outside your house until it's nice enough in spring for your first
you're talking about your
there.
Okay, all right, yeah.
And the neighborhood brings over their trees, and we throw them on one at a time on a fire, and they go up real quick.
Sounds like a pagan thing.
Excuse me. Yeah, a little bit, probably.
Just kidding.
We dance around the tree and chant. Oh no, we're not supposed to do that.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to transition to something that kind of happened this week, and I knew nothing about it, and then I started looking into it. And I want to bring it on the podcast because I have a feeling, Greg, you're more in touch with this for some reason than I would be, because I see something and I don't see a big deal.
Okay. I don't know where this is going,
Yeah,
folks, so this will be
you don't.
interesting.
So I guess, long story short, there's a photo out there called the Jerry Jones photo. You guys can Google it if I'm listening, or I'm sure
Okay.
you've heard it by now. And
Mhm.
it became a big deal because LeBron James brought it up and basically was kind of almost like tongue lashing the media, asking them, like, he almost seemed like this parent that would sit
Yeah.
there and like lecture his kids on something.
Uh-huh.
And he was saying something along the lines of, like, why hasn't anybody asked me about this? And I'm not going to go into his thing, but people are making a big deal out of this. And Greg, I'm going to be 100% honest with you, man. I don't see why this is a big deal. So I want to share the photo.
Okay. I was gonna say, do you
Okay?
have it?
Yeah. So let me bear with me, folks. I want to see how long this actually takes me to do this. All right. You should see it on the screen now. Do you
Yep,
see
we
it?
got it. We got it.
Okay.
Yep.
So here's the photo. Okay. Now, this is a big deal because this was back in 1957.
Yep.
Okay.
Now this is a meaningful historical photo.
Yes,
by
it's
the
absolutely. And so I understand that. Okay.
way. Hmm.
Now, thank God they actually have it circled here. This is Jerry Jones here, the
Yep.
guy that's in the circle. They blow it up here if you guys can
Jerry,
follow my mouse.
for those who don't know, Jerry Jones is the owner of the Dallas Cowboys.
The billion-dollar
Billion,
owner
billion
of the
dollar.
Dallas
Yep.
Cowboys.
He's a
Okay.
billionaire. He's an old
He
oil
was
money.
here for this civil rights movement that happened where defiant white students at Arkansas North Little Rock High School blocking the doors of, I think it's 6 or 7 black people from entering because
Yep.
they just ended segregation.
Yes.
Okay.
The courts ruled that they must integrate
Okay.
schools.
Yeah.
In
And
Arkansas.
I just want to give you how I look at this. Okay. This guy here looked like he's ready to fight.
Yep.
This guy here loves this whole chaos going on.
Yep.
The billion-dollar owner right here looks like he's a 14-year-old boy, which he was at this time,
Yep.
looking over there going, hey, what's going on?
Mhm.
That's all I see there. I don't see a guy trying to stop anybody from doing anything. I see a 14-year-old kid in a still photo. So we don't know what happened before. We don't know what happened after. We don't know if he looked at that and just walked away. We don't know if he got in the middle of it and tried to break it up. We don't know any of this. We just see this one photo of him looking over. Now, the only thing I'm asking is, at 14 years old in 1957,
Yes.
like, when you hear the school bully and the kid are gonna get in a fight out in the backyard, everybody's gonna go watch. Doesn't mean you're part of the fight. What I'm saying is, when you're 14 years old and you know something big's happening, you're gonna go see it.
Yeah. So you did send this to me earlier. I didn't know you were going to bring it
Yeah.
on time, but
Hang on before you finish. I'll let you
Okay.
go. My question is, Greg, because I'm open to this, maybe I am I racially ignorant to where I don't understand how this is why this is a big deal for Jerry Jones? Because it doesn't look bad. Like, he's not the guy with the cigarette. He's not this guy. He's not this guy. He's not this guy. And I can keep going all up and down
Yep.
the line here. I mean, if you look at his face, and people, please give us your comments. Let me know what you guys see, because I really want to know if I'm looking at this right, or am I looking at this ignorantly because I'm a middle-aged white man?
Right.
Go ahead.
And we're looking at, okay, so the idea that I haven't seen where Jerry Jones actually has commented on this. Has he?
Yes, he has commented. And
What did he
this is
say?
now this is where people are getting them. He's basically saying, not the PR thing. He's going, wow, wrong place, wrong time, which is probably truthful.
Okay.
I don't think he said anything in terms of anything other than, like, wow, that, I didn't like, what are you gonna say when you, like, if somebody, I don't know, if somebody gave you instead of him saying, yeah, I'm embarrassed to be in that picture, that was a dark time. That's all he had to say.
That I
But
think is the appropriate response.
yes, but he didn't go that route.
No, he
went
said
kinda
wrong
like,
place, wrong time.
yeah, he just wrong place, wrong time,
So
stuff happens.
the fact that he didn't like say that, like this, I'm pointing in. I know you can't see my cursor, but the guy with the cigarette, the guy next to him,
Hang on,
and
I'm
even
gonna
the
go scroll down to see if he's actually said something. So go ahead.
even the guy on with the on the side of him holding the camera, like you in that zoomed in picture, you can see someone right in front of him who's got like a grimace on his face.
Yes.
Like, what the hell?
This guy right here.
This guy right here, yeah. But
Yeah.
even like the woman behind there, just over his shoulder, who seems to be not looking at the crowd.
This girl.
We don't know her name. The
Right.
fact that they're focused on the billionaire owner of the Cowboys and his response to it, like you're saying, he should have said this was a dark time in American history.
This is his actual response. I didn't know at the time the monumental event really that was going on, and I'm sure glad that we're a long way from that.
Yeah.
I am. And that would remind me just to continue doing everything we can to not have those kinds of things happen. Okay. I don't see that. To me, that's not a bad comment, is it?
It depends what he means by those kinds of things.
Okay.
If he's like those kinds of things being forced integration of a school, like we should keep whites with whites, blacks with blacks. Yeah, Jerry, don't mention that. That's not something you want to say. Okay. If he's saying that, this was a dark time in American history where nobody was getting along, there was a lot of divide, and that's bad. Then we can he's trying to just play it off like not a big deal.
Okay.
He needs to make it a big deal, and he needs to definitely be on one side of this situation in order for him to not be called out. So when I read into this a little bit more is the idea that Jerry Jones, owner of the Cowboys, who employs or has employed hundreds of different races on his football team as players, but it takes him, I guess he had a white head coach yet, or no, he hasn't. That's where I'm at.
He had a black head coach?
Oh, I'm sorry, a black. He's had all white head coaches.
Okay, I know what you're talking.
His coaching staff has been predominantly white throughout his ownership.
That I don't know. Okay, I re-listened to what you sent me with Emmanuel Acho. He was talking about head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. He wasn't talking about any other position. And I actually looked up the roster this year, the head coaching staff this year. It's 56% white.
Okay.
Which according to so I was that 40-something% black coaches. So he had I think it was the actual number was 14 coaches are out of a 25 coaching staff. That's not including strength and conditioning. Coaching is 20. There's 25 coaches, 14 of them are white, 11 of them are black. I just counted that right now. So I didn't go in depth
and is that
the entire time he's owned them. And
the question I pose is that just black, white, and then not counting Hispanic, Asian,
I put any minority in the I didn't see any. Now again, I was looking at faces, so it's like I wasn't.
Sure.
So
and that's what I saw was the Ocho thing that I had sent you of he needs to be racially diverse in his coaching staff, and then maybe have some leadership positions like the D&O coordinator or head coach be people of color. I mean, that would be something that visually people could look at and say, Jerry Jones is trying to get away from this incident that showed. Now, you're right. It looks like in that picture that he's just a kid checking out, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
But and that's what he should say. I was checking what's going on. As soon as I realized what was going on, I got the hell out of there because I didn't want to be a part of.
Right. But isn't that part of this comment? I didn't know at the time the monumental event really that was going on, and I'm sure glad that we're a long way from that.
Maybe when I read that in black and white, that could be just him saying, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. Okay. I didn't want black kids coming into my school, but I didn't think that was a big deal at the time.
Okay.
but that's a big deal. I mean, that's
Right.
so the other thing that I had seen on this is that, we all do stupid shit when we're 14.
Yeah.
This happened to be captured on film
Hmm.
or immortalized in history as you were definitely on the wrong side of this particular argument here. So,
But here's my
what do
point.
you think about that?
Was he? What is this guy right here? Is this guy on the wrong side?
That guy looks like a reporter.
Okay. Is this guy on the wrong side? What I'm saying
I
is,
don't. You're right.
yeah.
Depending on where he needs to go, Jerry Jones, I would feel better if he went into a little bit more explanation of what 14-year-old Jerry Jones was thinking at that time.
Okay. I
If just looking at this picture,
yeah.
it is we've got black people on one side, we've got white people on another. And the white people there are looking aggressive
Oh, very much
or
so.
bullied. So you're included with that group. And even if not in the close-up picture, but just outside the circle to our left, be Jerry's right, is a kid who seems to be yelling.
Oh, this guy right here.
Yeah, maybe he's yelling.
Okay.
Maybe he seems to be a little bit more interested in what's going on than Jerry does. Jerry, when you look into that picture, it looks like he's observing, but what's going on there?
Right.
Like, so I don't know. The picture is what it is. I think it's a
Right.
moment in history.
Yeah.
I think Jerry needs to like I said, go into some detail. And I get the feeling like he doesn't feel like he needs to go into detail.
He probably doesn't. He's probably
Like,
what is how it says here? He's an
he's
80-year-old man.
80. Yeah.
80-year-old billionaire. Most of them, even 80-year-old broke poor people are stubborn as shit.
Yeah. That's very true.
I'm going to stop sharing now. So you need to see this anymore?
No, I don't. But I think that's might be where he's at, where
Okay.
he's still a very public figure though, and has been in the public eye in Texas, especially. Like
Oh yeah.
he has
He doesn't
influence.
run from the
No,
spotlight. No.
like he's definitely in the spotlight. He's the one who brought a level of showmanship, I think, a little bit to the owners group of or he's one of those
I've
owners.
heard he's the most when the owners get together. I
Mhm.
heard he is the most influential and the leader of all the owners.
He's a charismatic dude for sure.
Yeah.
Um, so to me, that means like show a little bit of leadership in this particular arena by explaining, yeah, I was there. Here was my thought process at the time, and either say this was my thought process at the time. I'm so glad I got more educated and have changed my views on race, or say, yeah, I was there and I was just watching and name. I mean, like this guy right here, that was my friend, Jimmy so-and-so. And he was there and we were just watching and we got swept up in the crowd and we wanted to see what was going on, do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think from what I understand, what his response to the photo is getting more
Kind of, yeah.
than
And
the
that's
photo.
and you know what? I think that's kind of fair. I mean, when you're that influential of a guy, the guy who
So
has
what you're
been
saying
more
is
powerful than
okay.
some Texas
Yeah.
politicians.
So what you're saying is because he's in such a spotlight and he's had so much time in terms of saying the right thing about his team and about
Correct.
that he should have come up with something
Like
better.
he's got a team of PR people. It's not going to be hard for them to put out for him to release a statement of him, like of his response. That would be easily crafted.
Right.
And for a guy who's made billions and billions of dollars on the backs of colored athletes or people of color, geez, I can't believe I just said that. It's like my dad. That's something that he should make a statement about. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I'm sorry. I'm also reading. He had another quote down here. It says, nobody there had any idea, frankly, what was going to take place. You didn't have all the last 70 years of references and all the things that were going on. Yeah, I think it sounds to me like he got blindsided.
Well, I mean, could be. I mean,
And not only
it's
that, I also kind of think that when Jerry speaks to guys or speaks to reporters, he's speaking to reporters he speaks to every day. So what I'm saying is there are times,
mm,
Greg, I am not well spoken with you because I don't have to be.
sure.
And maybe he gets so comfortable with those reporters he sees every day that he
Maybe.
feels it's like a buddy buddy that I don't.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not trying to defend him.
Hmm.
I don't know what there is to defend. I'm just I when I saw the photo, it didn't yell to me that this guy was on the front lines, and that's what they said. He's on the front lines trying to stop students from going in there. And I thought, I don't see
Easy.
that.
Yeah. I
I
don't
don't
know.
see him doing that. I don't see violence. I see genuinely a 14-year-old kid in a still photo, not a video, a
Right. Being a
still
looky loo.
photo, just looking.
Yeah.
So
And maybe that's it. I mean, I look at that picture
yeah, what do you see?
and
What do you see?
when I first, I mean, I had never seen that picture until you sent it to me, at least
Okay.
not that I recall. The more famous picture is of the black girl walking into the school. And it's the same.
Area.
It could be the
Right?
same day. It's Little Rock is the same. It could be the same day. Like that's more the picture that I've seen. Um, when I looked at it, I'm like, well, here's a kid who's going to be counted among this group,
Mhm.
like just by positioning and color of his skin.
Yeah.
And I go immediately, yeah, I put him with that group, honestly, based on the color of his skin. And I looked at it and kind of did a little bit of research. And I'm like, well, that's probably racist in itself. Like you can't group people together
Right.
in their thought process based off of one picture based on the color of their skin. So,
What do you think of the idea that everybody's racist?
I just had this conversation with my kids. Like they believe everybody's a little bit racist. Like if unless you are raised in a truly multicultural setting, everybody's a little bit racist. But I know a guy, um, artist friend of mine was raised in New York City in one of the
Okay.
boroughs, and he says racist stuff all the time. Now he's from Burma, like he's Asian 100%, was raised there until he was like 8 years old. And I mean, he says racist shit all the time. And he's
Right.
like,
Well,
and
I mean,
his kind of thing is like, I'm Asian. Like, who cares? I know I can't say those things, and nor would I want to.
right.
So, but in his mind, I think, yeah, he's got some preconceived notions of lots of different ethnic groups based on experience, and he was raised in probably one of the most multicultural settings in this country.
So I would agree that I guess maybe I have a hard time with it because I don't want to be that.
No,
I don't want to have that in me that and I'm honestly to God trying to think of times where I was racist, I guess. I don't like I've never
I
like
see any, but here's how ingrained in it as it was when I made a faux pas here 5 minutes ago,
okay.
just in my language,
Okay. Oh, okay. I see. Okay.
and that is totally based on my upbringing, and I'm embarrassed by it. Like I'm sitting here kind of sweating a little bit, like, oh my god, like, Greg, I can't believe you said that. And
I don't even remember what you said that would have gotten you that you think would have gotten you in trouble.
instead of saying black athletes, I
You-
I s-
I
I
don't
think
think you did.
I did. I totally
Okay.
did.
Okay.
As
All
soon
right,
as
well,
I said it,
anyway,
because as soon
I'm
as I said it, I went, holy shit, I don't want to say it again.
okay.
But that's a term, that's a passe term.
Yeah.
It's not acceptable anymore. But it's really like just a little bit of ignorance and non-multicultural upbringing just came out based on my language. Now, I don't think anybody who really knows me would be like, oh, Greg's racist.
Yeah.
But being raised in a all white community, like literally less than 1% of my community was of any kind of color.
Okay.
And that is black, Asian, Latino, anything. that does have an effect on people. Like that does,
Yeah, I would think it would for sure.
it puts a certain amount of blinders on.
Yeah.
So when you say, is everybody a little bit racist? If either conscious or unconscious, I think, yeah, a little bit. And it's human nature, but it's the ability to look past it or be conscious about it.
I guess the problem I have with that is I've always looked at, and I still look at it, by being racist, I'm judging somebody off of their skin color, not their actions. And or I automatically don't like a person because of their skin color.
Mhm.
And that's why I argue with that fact, because I know I've never not liked somebody because of their nationality or their skin
Right.
color.
After you get to know them. But if I
So what I'm
think there
saying
are
is if a guy's
situations,
walking up to me and he's from a different nationality, I'm not, oh, he's that nationality. I don't like him off the bat. I've never
right,
been that way.
right.
I don't think you've ever been that way. You reading
No,
a comment?
yeah, I was reading a comment. A guy who grew up in the same small town as me is agreeing with the 1%.
Okay.
And I don't know if that number has gone up much at all, Dwayne. As the population increased slightly, I think the rate of people of color maybe increased slightly, but that's about it.
So do you remember that one time we were at a math class and
Uh-huh.
I picked up a black marker
Yep.
and I didn't like the black marker.
Right.
And they said, why don't you use the black marker? And I said, I don't like the black marker. And the black guy in our class, who we were very good friends with,
He was a fantastic
goes,
guy.
what the hell? What's going on? What are you talking about?
Because
You don't like the black marker? Now,
you
he was
you
kidding.
said he was kidding, but you said I don't like black because black is like sinister and evil. And Robert,
Yeah.
who
Okay.
literally just went, "What the hell, man?"
Yeah.
Just,
yeah. And I
and
felt like absolute dog shit for the rest.
oh,
Yes.
you dropped into
Yeah.
like you were like a dog being yelled at. You were like, "Oh my god, dude!"
Yeah.
And it was so funny because Robert looked at me like, got him.
Right. But that's my point, is that like,
Right. Yeah. And so that's what I mean. Like overtly, yes, you and I and a lot of people we know would never do that.
right.
But at the same time, and this is the whole conversation I have with even like the boomer generation, where they're like, I'm not racist. I've never been racist. I love everybody. Yes, you do, but we exist in a system that and for me was raised in a system that was predominantly white. And so, like, I remember going to college as a freshman, never having had a full conversation with a black person, not one. So that when I moved in to my dorm and there were two guys on the floor that were black, and you know how they get everybody together in the
Yeah.
dorm
In the
to do
dorm,
intro, in the lounge, and we're doing that. And this guy happened to be born and raised on the south side of Chicago.
Okay.
So he was like his mannerisms, the way he spoke
Yeah.
was what I had been told black people are like.
Okay.
And so it just fed right into my stigma of like, oh, that's black people. And very quickly, first day of class, whatever, meet guys like Robert. And I'm like, nope, I got to break that. But it took, I mean, it took a little bit of time.
Yeah, but you're talking, okay, let's take that example. You're talking about a stigma. That's not racism. Or is that racism?
I think, yes, it plays into it. That stigma, that because it's all come down to stereotyping.
Okay.
That's
I guess maybe I still have a hard time because I've always just associated racism with hate.
Right. And it's
not stigmas.
Right. And it's not always, and God, we really should have a person of color on the show.
You're right. You're right.
Two white guys add to this conversation.
Yes. I agree.
So because we don't have the perspective. I'm trying to gain perspective. Really, well, the whole point of the show is you and I trying to gain perspective on things what we don't come
that
across.
We don't know about. Yeah.
So
and instead of us trying to figure it out without an outside voice letting us know.
Yeah. Well, part of it gets real hard to get guests on a Sunday night sometimes. So, so to our friends of color, if you're listening and want to come on the show again, I think we could probably you some
bring
education.
this up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also comment right now. Let us know.
Yeah. Well, and
Because I'm literally, the reason I wanted to talk about this on the podcast is, like you said, this is the original point of our podcast. Besides geeking out and having fun,
Yeah.
it was to open our minds, figure out things we necessarily, or look at the world through a different point of view.
Right. And one that two middle-aged, upper Midwestern, born and raised white
Right.
guys don't have.
Right.
So I remember, I mean, and the race thing is still strong when the yellow hate was really out there, and that was the term that was tagged on.
That was for COVID, right?
Partially it was born out of COVID, but a lot of like crimes against people of Asian descent were on the rise, partially because of that. And it was, I asked a buddy of mine, the same guy born and raised in New York, and I'm like, hey, can you come on the show and talk about this?
No, he didn't want to, right?
He's like,
Yeah.
no. He's like, no. Like, if you want to talk to me about, like, I can come on a Zoom call with you and your buddy and we can just talk about it, but I don't want to go on record, partially from his profession. He's like, I can't take a stance professionally because it could come back to bite me in the ass.
Of course, yes.
And because, like, socially, he's like, if it gets out that I was out there speaking to this issue, he's like, I don't have the, like, in his culture, he doesn't have the right to be a representative of his culture.
So he's playing it
like,
safe and it's understood.
He's playing it safe, but part of that culture is like, they have, I say they, like, the feeling I got from him one is in the Asian culture, like he has community leaders. They're the ones that get to talk about that, not me. So that's why he didn't want to come on, which is, again, I didn't know that. I mean, like, I mean, and even a guy that I go to church with, a guy named Stan. I'm like, Stan, would you want to come on and talk about this? He goes, no. And he was like, he's born and raised in Hong Kong. I said, have you experienced this? He goes, oh yeah, totally experienced that. He's like, the racism thing is crazy. And I'm like, and he's in the upper Midwest area. I'm like, okay, would you want to come on my podcast to talk about it? He goes, no. Like, if you want to talk to me about it, that's great. But I don't have, he's like, even my experiences that I have, I'm not at a level in the community, in my community, that I get to talk about that.
I actually would like to talk to them off the podcast then. Because like I said, I want to figure this out, because I'm very confused about what true racism is, I guess. Like, I don't know. I don't know how else to explain it other than like well, you also have to measure, like, intent, like that, going back to that story we told about with Robert Smith in the computer lab doing math with a black marker. My intent wasn't there. Like, and Robert's intent was to make a joke. He didn't take real offense to it. He was just joking. But in the same way that my dad, who I don't believe is racist, like, he doesn't have hateful things. Right. Being a Vietnam vet, like, fought with people of every, race and color, creed and color. Yep. Like that. Cause that was the Marine Corps in the 60s and 70s. It's like, okay, you're a brotherhood. At the same time, he uses language that is considered hate speech. And so his intent isn't there to be hateful. Yes. But at the same time, like, I think I've got him understanding that do not use the N-word around me and my kids. And he tries, like, he doesn't use that word often. Yeah. But it does come up. Or he uses other words. Right. And you go, Dad, you're not supposed to say that. Or he's like, why not? And he gets mad. He's like, why? Why can't I say that? And I'm like, because that's considered hateful speech. So, like I said, his intent isn't there, but at the same time, like, does that make it okay? So I understand. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, once again, Greg, you and I are not going to figure this out or solve this problem. It's just something I thought was important to discuss, because I wanted to know if I was looking at this completely wrong or something like that. That's all. So, so let's
anything lighter than that? Or?
Yeah. We're going to go way lighter now. there is news, but this is one of those, and I'm going entertainment movies now, people. So,
Okay.
um, there's news I just heard, and I don't know if this is news that has been happening for quite some time, and it's kind of like wait until we actually see it to believe it type stuff. But I hear Kathleen Kennedy is officially,
Done.
yeah, she's officially done after the Indiana Jones movie. Like
I've
she's gone. Like
right.
your guy Iger is like
Uh-huh.
is like gave her like the pink slip, or like, your time's up until here. Is that true from your circles or from
I've
your
heard
info?
that. I've been hearing that for a little bit, not
Okay.
just that her contract
Yeah.
with Disney was to come on, excuse me, take Star Wars through like the pre-planned, like the sequel trilogy for films,
Yeah.
and then those other ones that Disney made, like Rogue One and Solo, and then through like the Disney Plus kind of first round of projects,
Mm-hmm.
and that she could get one Indiana Jones film.
Okay.
And then when those were done,
Mm-hmm.
she was done. Now
Okay.
that Indiana Jones was drawn out because of the pandemic. Like we
Yes.
were
Yes.
really the original release date on that film was literally like 2 years ago.
Okay.
So she was going to be done a lot sooner, but she's been hanging on. And I think then that's could be why like she hasn't touched Star Wars much lately. They're
Yeah.
leaving that to Ryan Johnson, not Ryan Johnson,
Yes. I
um,
know what you mean.
the other guy, and John Favreau.
Favreau and Dave Filoni.
Dave Filoni, yes. So Dave Filoni and Favreau have been kind of, they're like, you guys take Star Wars for
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
and then we'll let her do her indie project and she can get the fuck out.
Right.
I think that's been what she's
The plan for a while.
that's
It's
that
just
yeah, like
COVID delayed a lot.
delayed a lot of that. So
Okay.
yeah, and honestly, she's well over 60, isn't she?
I don't know.
I think she's like, I mean, George Lucas is late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, he has like a
I
5-year-old daughter or something.
Yeah, he does.
I think I got a problem. Wow.
Uh, um, and she's not much younger than him because she's been producing with him
Yeah.
since the late 70s as well.
Yeah.
So she's at retirement age, and when money's no object, when do you retire? I know that's not really a question sometimes, but so but I believe with Iger coming in and Iger going, oh, I gotta fix this shit show that is Disney right now. I think an easy move for him will be like, hey, we want to bring some new life into Star Wars or Lucasfilm in general. Kathleen, thank you for your service, decades with Lucasfilm. Good job on those projects you did. Happy trails.
Okay. Yeah, I think you and I have said it on multiple times, and I sometimes I get confused what we've talked about offline versus online, but I think both you and I are like Favreau, Filoni, take it over, go.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing, I like John Favreau in a lot of different ways. I like him as an actor. I've liked him as an independent filmmaker. Seeing him go into Star Wars and like take it over as like story head and like lead, you go, that's awesome. We're going to see some really cool stuff, but we're not going to see him do the other things that we've enjoyed seeing him do.
Right.
Like writing, directing, and then he might still be Happy, but I think Happy's done in the MCU.
Oh yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
So, I will miss him in that role, but I would very much like to see where he's fully given the reins of Star Wars. Like it is the season of wrapping trilogies together. So like all day today, I could binge Harry Potter movies, Star Wars movies, or Lord of the Rings. I mean, and we're gonna have that all the way through New Year's.
Yep.
And so I tried. I mean, I knew I was going to be on my phone. I was going to be doing some other shit because I'm flying out tomorrow. Then I'm like, I'll just put Last Jedi. I'll just leave it on while I'm doing stuff around the house.
Very funny you did that because I did that with The Force Awakens today.
Yep. And I just put it on, and we get to the point where Luke Skywalker's talking to Rey in kind of his makeshift Jedi temple where it had the little waterscape there. And he's like, I screwed up. I thought I could train him. And that this was, the Jedi were wrong. And and I'm like, even Mark Hamill has said, this is not the Luke Skywalker that I knew. This is not the person I wanted to play, but I'm an actor and they pay me to do certain things.
Right,
and I was happy to have a job. So I did it.
Yeah.
But even when the main guy who kind of crafted that character and is the face of that character is going, we really missed the mark on this one. You got to go.
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah. I wanted to watch they're called the sequels. There's the original, then the prequels, then the sequels to the original. So anyway, excuse me. I wanted to watch those again because I wanted to, have I judged them hard? Have I, and it's not like I just wanted to see what were they trying to do, because I've read some articles now. I've been really digging into Star Wars.
You've been going through like a Star Wars renaissance for you.
Yeah. And I'm really digging it. And I'm like, oh, they actually admit that they didn't have a roadmap. They didn't know where this was going.
Right.
And I was like, oh shit. Like they admitted that, like you could tell, but I was like, well, they're never going to admit it.
Right.
And they were like, yeah, we didn't know where we were going with this. And I was like, when I read that, I had to reread it again. And then I literally said out loud, what the fuck? And then Gwen let me know that was a bad word and I shouldn't say it.
Oh, I caught her. We met up at a restaurant on Friday when I was in.
Did I say a bad word there?
You said damn. And she's like, Daddy.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh,
I know. I
remember that age.
She jumps on me very quickly with words. Sometimes actually she goes, oh, you said a bad word. I'm like, honey, I said happy. She's like, you can't say that. I'm like, honey, yes, I can. Happy's an okay word. Anyway, going back to the Star Wars thing.
Yeah.
I was shocked that they didn't have a plan.
Yeah. And that was,
and then I'm reading into, and this is 3, 4, 5 years ago news that I just discovered now, is that Lucas had ideas.
Yes.
And Favreau and Filoni actually sat down and listened to them. And now that puts them in a very awkward position because they have to take some of Lucas's ideas, put them in The Mandalorian and maybe Ahsoka, and then have it transfer to episode 7.
So I heard J.J. Abrams had kind of a plan.
Okay. And then Rian Johnson said, yeah.
And J.J. Abrams, I think, after the first film, he's like, that's a monster. Like doing a Star Wars movie is a monster. Yeah. He's like, I can't do another one. Like I can't do 2 in a row.
Yeah.
And so then they gave it to Rian Johnson, who has had some success. I mean, he's not like a hack.
Right.
But then he took Abrams' script and said, no, I don't like that part. No, this is really why I want to take it, and kind of did on his own. And then when Abrams came back for the last one, he had to do like this weird, try to undo a little bit of what Johnson did.
Right.
With really getting away. I am actually in possession of an original script. It's out on the internet. I grabbed it from there. That was J.J. Abrams' plan for the 3rd movie.
Okay.
And you read that and you go, oh, that's good. That would have been really good. But Johnson killed Luke Skywalker in the 2nd movie, where Luke is prominently in the 3rd movie.
Oh.
And so
they had to throw something together quick.
Abrams' plans were then shot. And I'm like, that was the biggest mistake they made, was killing Luke Skywalker. Like I was literally in the theater and I did a what the fuck in the theater. Like, and I don't speak during films for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was sitting there and I just go, and it was a screening with a lot of my friends, a lot of people from church. And I went, what the fuck? And it was audible. And really my wife was like, hey, I'm like, no, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
I was mad.
There are certain things that I think our wives need to understand and just let us vent.
The and for me, it hits close to, like, Luke Skywalker is a very much a part of my childhood. Like,
Yeah, that's the I would wouldn't you say that is your childhood hero? I mean, fictional hero.
yeah, one very much one of them. Yes, I mean, Superman and Luke Skywalker. I mean,
Wouldn't you
those are,
say I'm not trying to pick on you or put words in your mouth but wouldn't you say you've kind of built a little bit of their good qualities into your character?
dude. I've written college papers about their qualities, and like,
Okay.
one of the college papers I wrote when I was a freshman was write as a paper about someone you admire, and everybody's doing their parents or their grandpas,
Yeah.
or whoever. I wrote mine on Superman.
Yeah.
And I didn't use his name through the entire paper until the last sentence, and my professor thought it was genius. Anyway, but yeah, those are like very much my two big heroes.
Okay.
Like top two were
Childhood
Superman,
heroes. Got it.
Superman and Luke Skywalker for sure. So to watch what they did with his character
Mm-hmm.
in the or in the sequel trilogies, I go, that's awful. Especially when, having read some of the novels that were written pre-purchase of Disney, what they
Right.
call the legacy novels, where Luke did rebuild the entire Jedi Order. And it was a good thing. And we had Grandmaster Jedi Luke Skywalker doing amazing things with the Force, like the whole pull down a Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
Those ideas came from those novels of him doing that.
Okay.
And it was great stuff. It was
Yeah.
great storytelling. His character he was still flawed. I mean, he still had some issues,
Mhm.
but it was great to still read those stories. So they had like this whole backup of history that they could have went with.
Yeah.
But Disney, for some reason, said, "No, we're gonna forget all of those novels and not use them. We're gonna, oh yeah." Sarah just posted here, they didn't even use Mara Jade, who's his wife.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. I've heard,
like,
I've started reading about those in articles.
oh yeah, he got
Yeah.
married, he had children, because he
Mhm.
realized that relationships were actually more important to the Jedi Order than not. Like, that
Right.
was where they really screwed up, is that they didn't allow any kind of relationship.
Right.
And that's how he built this new Jedi Order that was super successful. And they just like wiped all that away. And I and when you're reading those books, Mark Hamill's face is what you see.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
And that's, I mean, that's it. And so, yeah, that was disappointing to see all that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just want to know if you heard anything different, or if you've been hearing the rumors about Kennedy forever. And
Yeah,
the reason
I did. There was, oh no, it wasn't Kennedy Forever. I'm sorry. It was,
that's
someone had posted, there was a movie poster for, was it the Blue Beetle coming out from DC?
Yes.
Somebody posted something like, "This is trash, bring back the Snyderverse." I'm like, get that guy out of the room. Like,
Yeah, I agree.
like the Snyderverse was good for what it was, but not anymore. Like
the Snyderverse had its own thing, and now it's over.
Not only its own thing, it had its shot.
Yeah,
and for the most part, it missed.
Yeah.
I appreciate what you did. I still watch those movies every once in a while, but I don't want any more dark and brooding. I don't want Jesse Eisenberg back as whatever Luthor he was.
You don't want dark and brooding Superman. Dark and brooding is Batman.
Batman, and that's I'm okay with
yes.
dark and brooding Batman.
Yes.
Like him existing in the shadows. Yes, I don't want Batman the musical ever.
No.
But there are a lot of other characters in the DCU that are not dark and brooding.
Yeah.
I'm still, like, if you said, what's your dream project of a DCU film? Because I just showed my oldest daughter The Nice Guys for the first time. I want a Blue Beetle Booster Gold film written and directed by Shane Black, with Ryan Gosling as Booster Gold and Russell Crowe as the voice of his little robot dude that's around him.
Okay.
And make it like a PG-13, just short of R, I think.
Okay.
And it would be fantastic.
Okay. Speaking of, you know what I would like, and not actually what I don't want? I don't want time travel in Indiana Jones.
No.
No.
And I'm
And it
sorry,
really feels like that trailer's coming.
it could be. And I think they're going to bring time travel in general into into Lucasfilm, because I have heard that that is a way that Filoni and Favreau might undo the Rey
Yes,
trilogy.
I've heard that, and I thought that is way so far out there, no one's ever going to accept it. Or maybe
I,
there'll be enough Star Wars fans where they're like, yeah,
yeah,
yes, let's go with
they've
that.
the whole thing, and maybe Abrams kind of knew that the whole thing with the mirror, and I think they eventually did also a thing in Clone Wars that you'll get to with this kind of reflection thing
Okay.
is alternate versions of the characters. When we see Dark Ray, like that's not just a vision that she has.
So it's almost a multiverse thing.
Yeah. And Dwayne, you're absolutely right. Indy better lose an eye at some point. Do you remember that picture? Young Indiana Jones, the series,
Okay.
quality series. It is canon that old Indiana Jones, like when we're talking like the actor that played old Indiana Jones was in his late 70s, and now Ford's in his 80s. But he walked with a cane, and he had an eye. He had to wear an eye patch because he lost it. He lost an eye on
Oh,
his last adventure.
I don't know that, but okay.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So the trailer dropped for Indiana Jones 5 this last week. And Greg, I've never hesitated hitting play on a YouTube trailer in my entire life. And Greg, you and I have had many conversations off. Okay.
What'd you
Greg's
think?
childhood was
What'd you think?
Superman. What did I think? I honestly, this isn't going to be funny or anything. I don't know what I think. It's more or less okay. I know this is going to hurt. I just, it's like
You're just gonna bite the pillow and take it, huh?
yeah. It's like I know it's going to hurt. I'm just going to have to deal with this. And there's always that hope that maybe they get it right. Maybe they're good at just the odd Indiana Jones numbers, like 1, 3, and 5. Like maybe that's the thing.
It really looks like they're going to use some of that de-aging technology that they
For sure.
used in
Now, if they're doing
Mandalorian
that
for
for
Luke.
flashbacks,
Yes,
with that.
I think
But
that's
if
the case.
he goes back in time and the dial of destiny has something to do with the Nazi bell, and the Nazi bell was something that's in reality, there was that's part of the conspiracy theories that the Nazi bell, if you pull it up online, you can find blueprints of the Nazi bell, and that was supposedly time travel.
Really?
God damn it. I don't want time travel in Indiana Jones.
Well,
but once you introduce aliens, everything's open.
Yeah, really. I would say it doesn't fit, but it kind of does.
Yeah.
But they could have, I mean,
Spear of Destiny. That's not hard.
I was just
Spear
gonna
of
bring
Destiny.
it up.
Not hard.
Bring it up. Spear of Destiny. It was easy to do.
Yes.
I think maybe they're trying to get away from Christian mythos, maybe. Even though those were the best ones, was like you're like 1, 3, 5. I mean, Ark of the Covenant.
Well, I mean,
Holy Grail
5 isn't out
Spirit
yet.
Destiny.
But I mean, yeah. The Last Crusade.
It could have been. What I mean is, it could have been like the Spirit of Destiny. It would have been.
Yeah. Okay.
Fitting.
Thank you. I know what you're saying now. Now, I'm one of the very few people that did not hate or did not find any faults or any wrongs with Temple of Doom. I just didn't. Because that's just part of my childhood. Just like, look, Greg, for you, it was Superman and Luke Skywalker. For me, it was Indiana Jones and actually Captain America. But I never saw a movie in Captain America, but
I get it. I mean, and I should probably rewatch Temple of Doom because I always skip it. Like I'm always like, no. Like I never really got into that because I never like the mythology or whatever it is, like the stones,
the chakra stones,
and the Kaliman and all that. That didn't interest me. So that's why I never really.
I'll be honest, that doesn't interest me either. I just liked Indy. I just liked Indy beating up people and saving kids.
I didn't understand the mind control piece of it. I didn't understand like why was that prince all of a sudden stabbing trying to stab Short Round, didn't get it. Why did the flame in the side knock them out of it? I didn't understand as a kid when I was watching it. That's why it never really appealed to me.
Okay.
So,
but yeah, well,
I don't know.
I'm talking to a guy on Twitter who I actually follow, actually for Chicago Bear stuff. He's really locked in on that. It's actually he's a writer for the Chicago Bears, but he's a big geek, and he's going to get on
Okay.
this. He's going to get on this podcast. I've already talked to him. We've agreed on it. He's busy now during the season, but we're going to get him in the off season and talk to him. And I told him, like, I just don't want to talk Bears. I want to talk, geek stuff. So, but yeah, he was he put it on Twitter and said, like, here it is. And I was like, God, please let this be right. And he's like, I'm with you, buddy, but they're bringing back Nazis, so that might be good. I'm like,
maybe.
but
Well, and it's Mads, and I really like Mads. He's cool.
Yes.
There's another actor in there, and you see him in the film or in the preview. I'm sorry, when he shoots, like there's a crowd of people.
Yes.
And
yes.
I like that actor too.
Okay, you do?
Like he's been in some cool stuff. I like how he delivers lines. I don't know if he's a good guy, if he's a bad guy, or if he's like a good guy that is just against Indy kind of thing. I don't know. But
okay. So yeah, so to answer your question, Greg, I don't have an actual thought on the trailer yet. I just don't. I was numb to it. There wasn't enough for me to sit there and I don't know. There wasn't enough for me yet.
The thought that I had, and this was when I watched it, and then I also the YouTube video I saw used a still shot of when right before he ducks under the table when he's like whipping things around.
Yes.
And they had a close up of Harrison's face, and I'm like, holy shit, that dude looks old. Like
really
he's old. Like, and he's 80.
Yeah.
And we're trying to make an action star out of an 80-year-old. That is a really tough sell.
No, yeah. Just call it what it is, Greg. It's a bad idea. Just a bad idea.
Yeah. So again, if you're watching, these are two men that are going to see this film.
I'm going to see it with my fucking hat on.
Yeah, they're going to get our ticket money for sure.
I'm looking at my hat and the 10-foot whip that I will never touch again.
Yep. I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
So, we are already like hour and a half into this, right?
We're a little bit, not a half. We're 10 minutes over. 12
okay,
minutes
cool.
Over, but
I want to talk about one other thing. Actually, should we talk about Willow next week? Give another episode.
We could. Early reaction is I like it.
Me too.
Yep.
I like it for what it is. It is a fun family adventure. That's
absolutely. Yep. And that's that
I'm totally on board for it. So that's fine.
Watched it with my kids. First two episodes, there were emotional reactions to all of it. So
yeah,
it was good.
I was shocked. I didn't know she was in it. Sanja. Source. I didn't know she was in it. So I was like,
Wayland.
Oh shit, that's her.
Yeah.
Gosh, she still looks hot. Good for her.
Really still does, doesn't she?
Yeah. And I was like, awesome.
Yeah.
And then they've introduced some new characters. The one thing I do want to talk about, all of you people out there are talking about how Disney is turning woke because they have two lesbian characters. Guys, I haven't heard one of you talk about this during Game of Thrones.
That's true. Yeah.
Like there's flamboyant stuff there in Game of Thrones, and no one said a freaking word about how Game of Thrones is going woke. So find something else, okay? Because that is a really lame argument. It just is.
Yeah.
The other question I have for you, Greg, and you can just say yes or no. Did you figure out?
Totally.
Oh, me too. I figured it out too.
Yeah.
Right away. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's we did laugh at Eric, the son.
Yes, love him.
He was good. Some of his delivery lines, even his first one, I was like, oh my gosh, he speaks like Owen Wilson.
Yeah.
Like he's got that speech pattern. I was like, ooh, how's that going to work out? And it actually worked out really well.
I actually liked him for what he was like for the first couple of seconds. You don't see him a lot.
No.
So for the first episode, I actually liked him.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I like this guy. All right.
He's funny.
It's kind of cool. He's Mad Mortigan's son, and that's
Oh,
awesome.
yeah. I mean, did you
Yeah.
see the sword flip? You saw the
Yeah.
sword.
I
He
was like,
flipped
wow,
just
good.
like his dad. And I was like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Yeah. I was like, all right, let me
I,
see it.
God, again, talking about movies that you're an unabashedly fan of, I will always watch Willow. Absolutely.
I
Like,
won't do that.
I will.
I've
I will.
watched it. I
And
watched it. I
is it
watched
a
it.
perfect film? No,
Not at all.
it
But
is
that's okay.
not at all a perfect film.
Yeah.
But to see Val Kilmer, like when he's in the dress and doing that, and then when he
Yeah.
gets the sword, flips the sword, you've got the theme, the
Yeah.
score is like
Dun, 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 dun.
just
Yeah.
perfect. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I love this film.
Let's see how I feel when we reconnect with the brownies.
That's part of the not perfect part of the film. But
Yeah. Because I hate those guys. Anyway,
oh, that yeah.
yeah, I didn't like them. To me, they're Jar Jar Binks. They're just get the fuck
Yeah,
out
they
of here.
absolutely
Get the
are.
fuck out of here. Other than that, I really enjoyed it. I enjoy the new bad guys they're creating.
Yep.
I also really enjoy. I think they've done well so far. It's an interesting story. I like
Mhm.
things they've added. I like how things look, how they feel.
Part of my take. I mean, and
Yeah,
we got two episodes, and then they're going to come out weekly
right.
after that. Um, I could see if you're a fan of the show, or if you're a fan of the movies, and maybe even you read the trilogy novels after that. If you really want to, like, if you know you're going to watch a couple episodes, be like, oh, I don't want to wait. You know what? This would be one that I would say maybe wait until they're all out, and then just binge it. Like,
Oh,
just do a
okay.
big binge. I'm not going to do that
No.
because I'm just not going to. I'm going to want my weekly.
I'm gonna want my
injection.
Willow every week now.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Yeah.
want my fix.
Yeah.
But I could see after watching the first two, I'd be like, I could see where if someone were to wait and then just kill all of these at once, it'd be good.
I was not aware actually, and I started noticing this. I was not aware of how good Warwick Davis was at his comedic timing.
Yeah.
Very funny.
Yep. He's yeah, and like when he did the original Willow,
Yeah. No
he's like,
comedic. Yeah.
well, he was like 19.
By the way, I didn't know that. I thought
Yeah.
I was looking at a 25-year-old.
Sure.
And so when I saw him, I was like, holy shit, you look great, guy.
Yeah. That's because like he's in his early 50s.
Okay. Well, that'll do it then.
Yeah, like when he did Return of the Jedi, he was 7, I think,
Yeah.
7 years old.
Yeah, he was something like that. Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's cool. His
Real daughter.
is that his real daughter?
That's his real daughter. Yep.
That's cool. Mims is his real daughter. That's cool.
Yeah.
The shots, the flashback scenes with
Yes.
him with that stupid looking goatee, that doesn't fit, but I
No.
laughed at it.
Yeah.
Because his outfit, that I mean, it's supposed to be like a stitched kind of thing, but it just looks like he's wearing a denim onesie.
Right.
You're like, what are you doing? You look like a mean biker.
Yeah. And real quick before we end this, was there a moment in one of those flashbacks where he came off as a creeper to her?
A little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Where
didn't know that.
he was
Yeah.
like, he was literally trying to snatch a child at that point. And you're like,
teacher magic. Yeah.
that's not going to go well for you.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, no, wait, that's not what I mean.
With his literally that goatee they had, and I'm like, are we gonna get like Easy Rider Dennis Hopper coming in here any minute? Because that's the vibe I'm getting.
The only question I'm going to ask you, and I don't think I'm spoiling it for anybody, do you think we're going to see Mad Mortigan?
Yes, but I don't think we're gonna see Val Kilmer.
Okay. I was gonna say, and if we do, are we gonna be really disappointed? Like, is it gonna be Val?
And by the way,
like, oh shit, man.
It's Mad Mardigan, not Mad Morgan.
I always fuck that up.
Yeah, Mardigan. Yeah, I think we're probably gonna see him, even if it's a flashback and they do like the superimposed face, or I don't know. The technology out there is kind of weird and freaky, and they can do anybody's face, anybody's voice. So
all right, man. I believe coming down the pipe though is also for those of you who like Amazon and Jack Ryan. That's coming out December 21st, I believe, and I'm a big fan of that, so I'll be there's a lot for us to watch as the holidays come upon us. So, you even close to all your Christmas shopping yet?
No,
Neither am I.
no, not even. We've got a couple things. Like I'd say we're a quarter of the way done. Like, and we have ideas for everybody else. I was actually able to go see my nephew wrestle yesterday, which was cool.
Okay.
He had a tournament close to my house, and I was talking with my brother and his wife of like, because we do a name exchange. You're like, hey, what do they want? And what about this? And so we got that figured out. Got some ideas. I'm gone for work all week, so I don't know if I'll be able to do anything much this week. So it's going to be kind of a mad dash when I get back.
All right, sounds like the Christmas season. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yep. Christmas rush for sure.
All right, Greg, sign us out.
Well, Ma kind of swung in with a very nice suggestion here right at the end, because it is the Christmas season and there's lots of joy and happiness to be spread. So while you're out there doing your Christmas shopping and everything else, just don't be a Grinch.
There you go. So for the Greg, this is Johnny saying thank you very much. Have a great week out there. Podcast out, everybody. Take care.
See ya.